Okay, going to attempt to do a little flower demo on a piece of, lay my paper towel down, on a piece of cardstock and pattern paper. Wanted to show you this right quick. The only thing different I have done to the surface of the paper is put a thin coat of matte medium. This is just the brand I got at Hobby Lobby. Works for me. Used a coupon, so I'm cool with it. Okay, this is the ATC size, already pre-cut, 2.5 by 3.5, and it's out of a decorative piece of patterned paper that's a little stiffer, almost like a cardstock. It's white on the back side and has the printed look. The whole sheet looked like a piece of old barnwood. I just cut a piece out to do this with. These are layers that I did out of Songbook page, where I did the torn paper effect. This one I left just the color of the Songbook page and put the coat of matte medium on. This one, I just did dip the tip of the brush with the matte medium loaded on it into a tad of burnt umber paint and quickly brushed it on so that it gives it more of a stained effect. I like to refer to it as kind of a faux tea stain without having to go through all the trouble of tea staining something. So these pieces are ready to paint on, but I'm going to actually try to work on two at the same time and do these quickly just to show you some of the little quick flowers that I do. These are going to be little cone flowers. So the first thing we're going to do is base coat in the little cone area. And I just do that with any little brush. This just happens to be my little 1/4" angle brush that for some reason I just grab and use every time I sit down. Either that or I have this very old dilapidated size 10 flat that I have been using for I don't even remember how many years, but you can look how terrible a shape it's in, but it does so many cool things, so I can't get rid of it. And then I'm going to attempt to use a new round brush I got at Hobby Lobby, 50% off. I think the brush was $4.99, so 50% of that I figured wasn't bad. It's called a mixed media brush, and it's supposed to have a mixture of different types of brush bristles in it, and not really sure what the differences are going to be, but we'll learn together. Okay, let's put a little more of this is just, I believe it's called honey brown. I just kind of like it as the base for my coneflower cones. And what I've done is I put out some dioxine purple, a touch of ultra blue deep, and a little bit of white just to lighten it as I do the brush strokes. And I just brush mix this. So this is a first, so let's see how it turns out. We're going to touch, press, pull, kind of turn and lift. This brush is a little bigger than I'm used to. This is a number 6, and generally I would work with about a 3 or a 4, but I kind of like what it's doing so far. I like the variation of the colors in the petals. So we'll see how this does. And this one's just on the Songbook page, but because we have put that layer of matte medium, so there's the little coneflower on the Songbook page. We'll move it to the side. And I just kind of go back and each time just tip the brush with some of all of my colors on it. I haven't felt the need to clean it or wash it. So this is just all I've been doing to it. And each petal is going to kind of take on its own unique look. Some are going to be a little lighter, some a little darker, and that's good because that's what you want, is that variation, because your flower petals don't all look identical. Well, I love the way that little extra hint of blue pulled into that one, so that is so cool. Okay, so I'm going to do on this darker one here couple of, if I can get it the right direction, a couple of little strokes here that would kind of represent maybe one that hadn't opened, but you could see the top of the little color. And then on this one, just because I want a little more color somewhere else, we're going to just put a loose petal, and then we'll go back and foo-foo it a little bit so that it won't look like it's just stuck there for no reason. Okay, now we're going to rinse this brush. And I do kind of like the way the brush handled and felt. First time I'd used it, so I guess that wasn't too bad. Now, we're going to go back with some burnt sienna loaded on that little angle brush, or you could use a flat. And we're just going to come in. Oop, there's a little globby. I'm down to the last of the burnt sienna in this bottle, so I have to force little bits out. We're going to float or shade the bottom, at least half or so, of the Coneflower center, or the honey brown color. And I just do that by starting my float right along the edge of where the cone would touch the petals, and then just kind of walk the color till I have the look that I want. I just kind of do this by, I don't really know how to describe it other than that's just how I do it. Okay, we're going to try to come back in with the burnt umber, because we want to shade that bottom edge and make it a little deeper. But I don't really want to remove any of the burnt sienna. So normally I would wait until this completely dried, but I'm just trying to do enough that you can get the general gist of it. And I do not have my angle on my light here just right, so I'm kind of blinding myself. Now I want to put a little highlight along the top edge of the cone, so just with a little bit of a yellow color, and I want to say it was called mustard. I have 2 or 3 yellows that I just are my go-to yellows, so sometimes I don't remember which one I have actually pulled out and used. So that's just the basis of the little coneflower, and as always I'll forget to put a certain color of paint out, so let me get some green out right quick, and we'll see if we can pull in some little stems and leaf looking things. Okay, now when I do my greenery, I generally just kind of brush mix a light and a dark green together. For this one, I'm just going to use, I've got some excess water. I didn't blot all the water out of the angle brush, so I'm going to kind of use it like a liner brush, but working more with the toe, and pull me in a little stem. I'll go back and just add a little bit of fresh paint to the end, and pull in a stem. Then turn it upside down, because I like to pull these thin lines toward me, and pull in just a few more little twiggy, sticky, limb looking things. And that little excess water that's left in that brush, I'm going to try to use this one to paint a couple of leaves by just touching the brush down, touch, press, pull, and lift. I like to try to remember to have my light green color at the top, so that the dark green kind of automatically creates the shadowed look that I want. But sometimes I still don't always remember to do that. But I had to get a little fresh paint on that one. And I don't worry about so much coverage, because I want this to, let's see, on this one, I want to just give the effect of a little of the greenery under the flower. As if it was kind of doing its own little thing out here. And then you could go back and add more little foo-foo or more greenery or whatever else you would want to do to it. But for the most part, that gives you a finished, quick little simple flower.